Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through my website yarnaddict.co.uk. You can find all the links to everything I'm going to talk about below this video. Thank you very much for joining me today. This is episode 68 of the Confessions of a Yarn Addict podcast. I post videos here on YouTube once every other week and twice every other week, so every Thursday plus every other Tuesday, and I do a combination of podcast episodes, product yarn reviews, talking about my designs, tutorials, and just some like knit and chat on topics that I find interesting and that you might find interesting too. So thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about a new design, in fact, a few new designs, upcoming events, what's on my needles, some new purchases, and possibly something else. We'll see what we get around to. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. So I'm filming this video on Monday, and this video will be out on Thursday this week. So I'm hoping by the time this video is out, I will also be releasing this cowl design on the same day as this video comes out. I had it back from my tag editor earlier, and there was one little tiny area I'd forgotten to delete, and so once I've done that, which I've done, I'm hoping she'll give me the go ahead, and I just need to give the pattern a quick read through just to make sure that everything's okay. And I'm really excited about releasing this. I was kind of wondering whether to hang on to it till the autumn, because winter is nearly over, but I've done that before and then forgotten about it, so I think I'll just release it. And I wanted to have this pattern kind of ready because I'm planning to develop a new workshop based around this pattern for the autumn term. So this is the Vestby Cowl. It is named after the place where I grew up in Norway, which is where I was when I knitted this in January and early February. It took me 3 days to knit it, so it's really quick. I have a couple other stranded colourwork cowls, and they are knitted in 4-ply yarn, and they're kind of double-sided. So you knit one side and then you turn and knit the other side if you like, or you knit a long tube and then fold it in half. So they take quite a long time to knit because they take 100 grams of each of the two colours. So I wanted to do something that was a bit quicker and easier, so I designed this, and I'll take it off so you can see what it looks like. It is actually knitted this way up, so it starts down here with the purple. I used Mario by, let me have a look, Mario by Belinda harris-reid. It is 50-50 superwash merino silk, or it might be merino silk, 50-50 merino silk. That's 212 meters per 100 gram, and it's a DK yarn. And I didn't use the full 100 grams, I don't think. I'll put on the pattern page how much I used. Used roughly 50-50 of each colour. So I started with the purple down here, and my plan was to knit up to here and then reverse the, or probably by here, and then reverse the colours and knit the same pattern going in that direction. But I realised that was going to be a bit too long, so I added some more diamonds and a bit of chevron at the top, and then I did the baby pink at the top, the ribbon, the baby pink, so I want to use roughly the same amount of each colour. And even though my intention was to wear it like this way up, because my cast off is a bit looser than my cast on is quite loose, but if you hold it like that, can you see how the cast off down here just looks a bit looser? The cast on is very stretchy. I use the long tail cast on, but you can use any cast on that's stretchy enough to get it over your head. But my cast on just kind of looks looser. And also I quite like having this colour up against my face rather than this colour, because I think this colour looks nicer on me, and also I think if I've got any makeup on, then it's not going to show as much on this side. But you can wear it either way up, doesn't really matter. You can make it longer, you can make it shorter. You have plenty of yarn if you get 200 gram skeins to make it a lot longer, so you can bunch up more, or you can make it shorter. I deliberately did a fairly long rib so that when it bunches down or it falls down, it's not going to show the stranded colourwork. So let me flip it over and show you the stranded colour work. So a little bit of a quick stranded colour work tip while we're talking about this. See how stretchy this colour work section is? It's not as stretchy as the rib section, but it is quite stretchy. It has a bit of give in it. So one of the conversations I was having with somebody on a workshop on Saturday was about how to make sure stranded colour work is loose enough. And I hear a lot of people saying they go up a needle size when they do stranded colour work, especially if it has stranded colour work section and then a plain section. So say for example you're doing something in stocking stitch in just one colour, and then you have a stranded colour work section, then you have more stocking stitch, for example. I hear that people quite often go up a needle size because they find that their stranded colour work section is a little bit tighter. That doesn't always work. One of the things that quite often makes your stranded colour work section a bit tighter is the fact that these floats, these strands on the back here, are too tight. They need to be loose enough so that they are the length or slightly longer of the stitches you kind of floating past, if you like. So these floats on the back, you knit with one colour and then you take the other colour behind them at the back, and then you need to make sure those are long enough to cover the number of stitches you are bypassing. If they're too short, then your fabric will either pucker or it will just have no give in it at all. So this has quite a bit of give in it, but I've seen things that the floats lay flat, but they don't have any give in them at all. And for this, not having any give in it will probably be okay. You probably still get over your head. But for example, things that like socks, which you have to pull over your heel, for example, colour work on the cuff of the sock that you have to pull over your heel. If those floats are too short, it just won't stretch enough to get it over your heel. So do look out for that. So sometimes going up a needle size is not enough to make your colour work the same width as the rest of your fabric, if you like, but it is the floats on the back of the fabric that you need to focus on. So a little bit of a colour work tip thrown in for free. I do have an online stranded colour work and steeking course. So my online Scandinavian stranded colour work and steeking course covers how to knit beautiful colour work like this and Fair Isle colour work. Fair Isle is just a form of colour work that comes from the Shetland Islands. I try and use stranded colour work more than Fair Isle because the kind of stranded colour work that I tend to do tends to be more Norwegian inspired, which can be a bit different from that of traditional Fair Isle patterns, but it's the same technique basically. So I do have an online course where we also talk about steeking, which is where you cut your knitting, which is very common with stranded colour work designs. And I actually do have a pattern coming out in the next issue of Let's Knit magazine, which features that technique. And I will have a couple of videos when that design comes out. But I do have an online course, so whether you're not ready to steek yet or not, or whether you just want to learn the stranded colour work, that online course is still really good value. And if you are too nervous to try the steeking at the moment, I still recommend getting it because a big chunk of the class is how to knit colour work. And then the steeking bit is there for when you fancy giving it a go. So I will link all of that below. I'll link to this pattern below. There will be a launch discount for a week or two, I think. I'll put all those details below, and the launch discount is always on the pattern page as well. So I will link to that below. Pattern will be available from Ravelry and PayHip. So all the links to that will be below this video. talking about new designs, another new design or group of 4 designs that have just come out is 4 designs I designed about a year ago, I think, for Manos, Uruguay's UK distributor, Rooster Yarns. So they commissioned me to design 4 designs. There was a sleeveless top, a short sleeve top, and 2 shawls, and they're all very sort of spring summery. And I think the patterns were ready to be released in the autumn last year. I know they had them on display at Yarndale in September last year, but because the designs are quite spring summery, they decided not to launch them online till now. So they are now available on Ravelry from Rooster Yarn's Ravelry shop. I will link to them below. I will have a separate video on these 4 designs coming out next week, I think probably on Tuesday. I recorded a year ago where I talk about them in more detail, but I will link to the patterns below. I don't know if they are available off Ravelry. I assume they might be available from Manos Uruguay suppliers, stockists in the UK, but I'm not sure. But I will link Rooster's website as well, so if you are unable to buy or you don't want to buy on Ravelry, then I suggest you reach out to them and ask them where else they are available from. They're not available from me, I'm not selling them, but Rooster are selling them through their Ravelry pattern shop. So it's a little bit complicated when I design for young companies, because on my Ravelry profile they're listed under my name, so it looks like there are my patterns, but really I sell the rights to publishing them and to selling them to the young companies. So they pay me a one-off fee and then they own the rights to that pattern, which means that I don't have a say in where they're sold. So I will put the links to that below this video, and then look out for the video coming on, I think, Tuesday next week on that those 4 designs. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out. Okay, let's talk about what's on my needles. Let's do socks first. So first, a bit of an admission. I have not done anything about that brioche shawl I started in Norway. It's kind of indefinite hold, on definite timeout. It's not that I don't like it. I want to do it because I wanted to work out how to do that shape while also doing a brioche pattern, and I managed to work that out, so that was fine. But I'm not loving the mohair. I love the colours. I'm not loving the mohair. I've just realised that I don't know whether I'm going to wear that shawl as it's knitted in holding a strand of mohair and a strand of wool together. I know it's very trendy at the moment, and that's kind of why I bought it and cast on, but I don't think I'm going to wear it. And as it's not knitted in yarn that I sell, I'm also not going to display it on my stall when I do shows. So when I do shows, I only display samples knitted in yarn that I actually sell. So anything that's knitted in yarns I don't sell, I don't display, because people just want to buy that yarn. And as is a Norwegian yarn anyway, I don't think it's widely available in the UK. So I am thinking about maybe I should rip it back and then pick it and do it without the mohair, or maybe I should just do it in one of the yarns that I actually sell, which would be, I would choose the Manos Uruguay Fino, which is on the shelf there behind me. So I don't know what to do about it yet. I haven't decided yet, so I've just kind of put in time out and ignored it. But I need to pick it up soon. I'm thinking if I decide to re-knit it, it'd be good to do it and have it ready for Wonderwall, which means I would need to get on with it because Wonderwall is not that far away, or it would be a good project to take with me when I go on holiday in May. So I haven't decided yet, but I need to try and make a decision this week. So let's talk about what I've actually been knitting. So I've been doing quite a lot of sock knitting. If you get my newsletter, you will have read last week that I said I've been in a bit of a knitting funk last week, and that's true. I've been a little bit, I don't know, just lost my knitting mojo a bit, I feel like, or my design mojo. So yeah, I've just been feeling a bit fed up and not really knowing what to knit. So I've been knitting a bit on this sock. This is my husband's socks for my husband. I got the yarn when I was in Norway, and it's DK yarn. It is Lang Super Socks, I think. Let's have a look. Yes, Lang Super Socks, colour 6-ply, and it's superwash merino or superwash wool and nylon. I'm knitting them on 3.5mm needles, and I finished the first one. I did a Icelandic cast off at the top because I don't know why, but I couldn't find my little needle, my little notions kit where my sewing needle was, so I couldn't do my normal sewing cast off. So I decided to do the Icelandic cast off. Then I made him, which the Icelandic cast off is like a semi-stretchy cast off. It's not super stretchy, but it's stretchier than a regular cast off. So I did that, and I got him to try it on, and he was just too tight. He was struggling to get it up his leg, so I undid it and did my normal sewn cast off, which doesn't feel like it's a lot stretchier, but it is. So it's knitted toe up and then afterthought heel, and first one is done, and I'm working on the second one, and I've got just past where I put the waist yarn in for the afterthought heel, so you can see that yellow line there. That's the afterthought, that's the yarn for the afterthought heel. So yeah, knitted the foot, and I'm now on the 2x2 rib for the leg. So it's 2x2 rib all the way up. I can't remember how many rounds I'm knitting, but I think probably about 70 or so, but I can't remember. Apologies for the light. It was overcast when I started, so I thought I wouldn't need to close my curtains, but now the sun's come out. It was actually raining earlier. Now the sun's come out, so I'm going to just close my curtains so that the lighting situation is a little bit better. Okay, so I've closed my curtain. So apologies for the lighting situation. It's always tricky in here when it's sunny. Next thing on my needles, which I haven't worked a lot about. I can't remember where I was when I recorded last, but I don't think I've worked much on this since last time. I've knitted on it a couple of times when I've been out and about. I think maybe last time I recorded, I'd possibly just finished a toe. I knitted a little bit on it when I was at the knitting hotel weekend before last. In the evening I knitted a little bit, but not a lot, and then I knitted a couple of rounds on it on Sunday when we were in a coffee shop, and that's about it. So I've not done a lot on that. That is Spectrum Fibre, what's it called, Spectrum Fibre Twisted Sock. Is a high twist sock yarn, merino nylon, in the colourway Aqua. So Aqua, I think is like Italian, French, I don't know, but in Spanish agua with a G. This is called aqua with a Q. I'm so used to saying agua because I'm learning Spanish, so it's aqua, not agua. So that's the two pairs of socks I've got on the needles. This one kind of lives in my bag, so I don't tend to work on it unless I'm out and about, and I haven't really had a lot of chance in it, but I've been out and about lately. I am going to London next week, more about that in a minute, so I might try and knit on it a bit then. I may take another project with me, I haven't decided yet. And then the third project I've been working on, which I hadn't worked on a lot till this weekend, and then I did loads on it this weekend. So that is my crochet blanket, which is getting quite big now. So I started down here, and then at the moment I'm up here. So where's my marker? Because I put a marker in. It's on the other side. Oh, there it is. So that was the marker I put in last time I recorded a podcast, which is 2 weeks ago, I think. So I've done that in the last 2 weeks. I've probably done from like there this weekend. I did quite a lot yesterday, Sunday afternoon and evening. We went out in the afternoon, and when we came back I probably crocheted for the rest of the afternoon. So probably from by here, I think. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to move the marker up to where I am now, so that next time I record a podcast I will know where I am. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's getting big enough now to like snuggle under, or to have it over my legs. And yesterday at one point when I was sitting on in my chair in the lounge crocheting, we had the fire on, I was watching Downton Abbey on the telly, repeats of Downton Abbey, and this was on my lap, and the dog jumped on top of me, so I had this on my lap, and then I had a dog on top of there crocheting away, and it was quite enjoyable. So I'm enjoying it. I'm just holding 2 strands of leftover sock yarn together, and I'm doing 3 rows each time I change colour. That's about it. So just loads of leftover sock yarns. I have a couple of times I've used merino silk, like down here there was a couple of times I used like a strand of superwash wool nylon sock yarn and a strand of merino silk together, or might have been Blueface Leicester silk. But after reading about Knitting Natty from the Love in Stitches podcast, she's had a couple of slight disasters with her crochet blankets recently. She did a scrappy granny stripes one, which is what this was inspired by, and she washed it, and some of the yarns were not superwash and they felted. So since I saw that, I've decided only to add superwash yarns in, and I think most of them are sock yarns, so they have nylon in as well. There's a couple that are 4-ply rather than sock yarn, so they don't necessarily have nylon in, but they are superwash. So I'm hoping that means that washing it will be okay and it won't be a problem. And coming up is a little bit of a clip from the Knitting Hotel. I've been teaching there the last 2 weekends. I didn't record a lot when I was teaching because it's so busy. This last weekend I did a day of like troubleshooting, and that was very busy, and I didn't record anything. And then the weekend before I did 2 days of lace knitting, and again it got quite busy, so I didn't actually record much, I don't think. But if you're interested in workshops at the Knitting Hotel, I know they get cancellations, so you need to contact Belinda, who's the owner. I'll put the website below, and you need to reach out to her and ask her for availability. If she has cancellations, she'll kind of contact people who've expressed an interest to go on the waiting list, I think. She will also sometimes give shout outs about cancellations on her Instagram, so I'll link that as well. But if you are interested in workshops for 2024, I know she's still got some spaces available, and I'll be doing loads of workshops there this year and next year. And if you specifically want a workshop with me while you're there, then do tell her. She also has day guests. Instead of actually staying at the Knitting Hotel, you can stay across the road or nearby in a B&B, or if you're local, you can go home every night and you can come and you can spend the whole weekend there and do all the normal things. You just don't sleep there. Or you can also just come for the workshop day. So if you're interested in that, if you live locally or you have somewhere else you can stay locally, or you just fancy that, then do let her know. I had somebody a few weeks ago who came just for the workshop day, I think, and I've had other people as well who've just been there for the workshop. This weekend there was a lady there, she's been there twice now, I think. Yes, twice with me, and she didn't stay at the Knitting Hotel, but she stayed across the road in the B&B, but she spent the whole weekend there. Did all the normal Knitting Hotel guest type things. So if you're interested in that, I will leave the link below. Do contact them and let them know you're interested, and tell them that you found out about them through me. So a couple of upcoming projects that I'm planning to get started on. I am slightly aware that once I release this pattern, I don't have any other patterns in the pipeline to self-publish, apart from that brioche shawl, which I'm thinking about restarting. So that might kind of influence my decision, because I feel like I should aim to release at least one more project before Wonderwall, because I've had a lot of deadlines and things over the last 6 months or a year. I've been doing less self-published patterns, and I don't have anything kind of in the pipeline, because the last couple of weeks since I finished knitting what I was knitting on, since I came back from Norway, so that's 3 weeks, 4 weeks now, I've not really been working on a lot. I've been a little bit doing a lot of swatches for design submissions and that kind of thing, but just been in a bit of a knitting funk, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. I have got plans for a design. So remember, I got an advent calendar before Christmas. Let me just grab it and show you what it looks like. And I've been thinking about what to do about it, because I don't want it to sit here all year and not do anything with it. So that's what it looks like. So I have been planning what to do with it, and that's day 1, and then he went like that, that and that, I think. Finished there, I think. Then it also has like a full skein of grey, really pretty grey. So I'm thinking about actually starting up there and going backwards. So it would be that way, that way, that way, I don't know. Anyway, I will need to look at the dates, but starting on day 24 rather than day 1. But I haven't decided yet. I have knitted a swatch, so let me just do this box up so it doesn't all fall out. So this is from Orchidea Luxury Yarns. Abby has changed the way she runs the business, and she's doing more custom dyes now, rather than dye, or sort of dye to order, rather than just stuff being readily available on a website. So I don't know whether she's planning to do an advent calendar this year, but I got that one last year and I love it, and I would like to see if I have enough for a sweater. I haven't actually worked out the amounts yet, so I may not have enough. I have that grey solid skein as well, but that might not be enough. So 20 grams, how much is that? 24 times 20, so that's 480 grams, and they're 400 meters per 100 gram, I think. So that's 400 times 4, 1600, 1680, so that should be enough, I think. And then I have the 400 meter 100 gram skein of grey as well. So I've knitted a swatch. I've been thinking a lot about what to do, and I was thinking, do I want to do a lace pattern? Do I want to keep it fairly plain? So I think I've decided to keep it fairly plain in stocking stitch, and then maybe with like an eyelet pattern. I tried this eyelet pattern, which is just a knit 2 together yarn over, but it does tend to want to like fold a bit for like a picot hem. So I did a double yarn over and a double decrease, and I like that better, so I might go with that, but I haven't decided yet. And so I swatched in 3mm needles, and I like that fabric. It's quite a nice even stitch definition. The last design I did for Knitting Magazine, which if you remember will say, I'll link the video below, but it was a sweater with like a slip stitch stripe pattern in like a fade, pink fade from Orchidea Luxury Yarns, and then I used the natural yak merino, yak, I can't remember what Abby calls the merino. So this is like the merino silk yarns, and I can't remember what she calls the, I think it's mulberino she calls it. So she does the mulberino, which is merino silk, and then she does the mulberino yak, which is merino silk and yak, I think. Anyway, they're knit to the same tension, and for the design in knitting a few months ago, I used the mulberino for like a pink fade, and then I used the mulberino yak in the natural undyed colour for the main colour, if you like. I will link to the video below if you've no idea what I'm talking about. But in that, on that design, I used 3.25mm needles, so I swatched with that as well. And when I was knitting with it, I didn't like it because it's a bit uneven, and that was what I remember from when I knitted that other design as well, which was last summer, September, I think. But once I blocked it, it looks a lot more even. Probably looks a little bit more even with 3mm, but I'm also, what worries me about doing mainly stocking stitch is that I may not have enough yarn. So I'm going to work out my tension and then work out how much yarn I would need for a sweater in my size in the measurements I want, and then see if I have enough. This is not from the advent calendar. I had this yarn, I used this yarn for a big pink shawl for Knitting Magazine last summer, I think it was, and I had some yarn left over from that, so I used that for a swatch, so I didn't waste any of the actual advent calendar yarn. So I'm thinking if I do a lace design, I should use less yarn, I think. So I'm gonna work later this week, work out how much I've got and how it's going to work out, whether I have enough yarn or not, whether I need to use the grey yarn or not, and then make a decision whether to go with the stocking stitch or whether to do something lacier, which would probably use less yarn, I think. So I haven't decided. I had kind of hoped to cast on this week, but I don't know. I might put it off till next week. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to London next week for 2 days, one overnight stay with my daughter. We're going to watch a British comedian, Ellie Taylor, record a radio show at the BBC, which I'm quite excited about because I've never been to a radio recording or a television recording for that matter before. So we're going up and spending 2.5 days in London, and we get there about lunchtime on one day, and then we leave about lunchtime the next day. So 24 hours really in London. So I need some knitting for the train. I think the train's only just over 2 hours each way, and then I don't know whether I'll be allowed to knit when we're watching the recording. We'll see, but I will definitely be taking these socks, but I was thinking maybe I should cast on for this sweater before we go so I can knit on the train at least, but we'll see what I decide to do this week. I might cast on for that brioche shawl in a different yarn as well. As I've been talking about it while recording this, I feel like I really need to do that, so maybe I'll do that. We'll see. Who knows? Watch this space. I am in Dawlish this morning, and I got here a bit early, so I've just gone for a walk along the beach for about 10 minutes, and I'm going to head back to the car. So I'm teaching at the Knitting Hotel, which is just up the hill. I'll show you in a second. So I've just walked along past there this morning. The beautiful view, and then now I'm going to head back to the car. Then I'm going to head up to the Knitting Hotel, which is there. That big grey house there is the Knitting Hotel. So we are in the downstairs room with sea views. I think all the bedrooms have sea views apart from the 2 downstairs ones, I think. The breakfast meal room conservatory has sea views. The terrace has sea views in the summer when it's warm enough to sit outside. So yeah, we're doing a day of troubleshooting. So I've prepared a few things, then I'm also going to answer questions and help people with anything they've got problems with, any questions about. So I haven't taught a workshop like this before, so that'll be interesting. So I'm going to walk back to the car now and drive up there. So let me show you again. So the Knitting Hotel is up there, and then this is the train line. It's the main line between the southwest, South Devon, Cornwall and the rest of the country, and this is the sea, and this is the new sea wall. So I'm going to head back now to the car. And then a couple of new arrivals, not yarn, but yarn related. So first, Louise Tilbrook, who runs the Everyday Knitter group on Facebook, she has launched a couple of knitting journals. So I saw that one and I really liked the design. really pretty colours, and it has just like a dot grid pages. I thought that was quite pretty. I like a nice notebook, and I saw it's on Amazon, so I had a look and I decided to get that. I will try and link to that below if I can. I don't know whether it's available if you're not in the UK, because it's Amazon, so I don't know if you're in the US, for example, or somewhere else in Europe, whether you can order that or not, but I will link it to it on Amazon UK. And then I saw that Botanical Yarns launched their exclusive Unravel project bags. So I didn't do Unravel this year. I was going to apply again this year. I haven't applied for a couple of years, and I was going to apply, and then I missed the deadline because the deadline had been moved forward quite a lot compared to what it used to be. I haven't done Unravel since 2019. So my plan is to apply again for next year, because I used to really enjoy doing it. But I saw this on social media, so I went and ordered it. And this is from Botanical Yarns. And I love this colourway. I don't know which size this is, because she had different sizes available. But it's like a drawstring bag. I like the fact the drawstrings are kind of rainbowy as well. And then inside it's got like a light grey fabric. Then it has these pockets all the way around the side, so you can put your notions and stitch markers and row counters and bits and pieces in there. So I quite like that. And then it has a handle here that you can carry it by. So I was planning to use this for when I cast on for my advent calendar sweater, because I thought with the rainbow colour it went with the yarn. So this has just been sitting on my desk ready to cast on for that sweater. And when I cast on for that sweater, I might not use this project bag to start with, because it will be much smaller, but certainly as it grows it will definitely move into here. I was thinking about, because I've been keeping my crochet blanket in here, and then I've been keeping all the spare yarn in a basket downstairs, and it's getting a little bit small. I can still squeeze it in here, but the other day I managed to zip my yarn up into the zip, so I feel like this is going to have to move out into a bigger bag at some point. So I was going to use this, and then I thought, no, I want to keep it for that advent calendar sweater, so we'll see. Depends on how quickly I decide to cast on for the advent calendar sweater. Maybe this week, it may not, we'll see. Okay, nearly finished. A couple of things. I have a couple of upcoming events which I want to tell you about, so I'm just grabbing my notebook because I wrote down the dates. So 13th of April I'm teaching a brioche cowl workshop at Spinner Yarn in Bovey Tracy in Devon. That's 13th of April. So we are doing brioche cowls. I have three different ones. I have a very simple, my simple course pattern, which is just a very simple syncopated brioche. So if you've done 2-color brioche rib, basic 2-color brioche rib, you can definitely make that one. And then you can choose to do my delightful pattern, which is a little bit more difficult because it has some increases and decreases. Or you can do my Delicia cowl, which is a little bit more difficult again. So if you have done 2-color brioche, then you can do that workshop, and you can choose your difficulty level basically, and you'll get one of the patterns to take home. And I will show you how to do brioche in the round and how to do all the stitches you need to knit your chosen pattern in that workshop. So if you have never done brioche before, then I don't think that workshop would be suitable, because I will expect everyone to know how to do basic 2-color brioche. If you don't, you will probably spend the day practicing and learning that rather than actually knitting the cowls, because I do find that with a lot of people, or with most people, it takes more or less the full day just to get the hang of basic 2-color brioche. So if you are new to brioche, then you may want to learn that before you come on the workshop. But if you know how to do basic 2-color brioche, if you've done one of my basic brioche workshops, for example, and you fancy taking it a little bit further, then these are perfect. This is a perfect class for you, and you can choose your kind of difficulty level. And then also in April, on the 22nd and 23rd of April, I'm going to be at Wonderwall in Wales. It's at Builth Wells in Mid Wales, 2 days, 22nd and 23rd of April. So I'm really excited about that. I'm just starting to plan my stall and what yarns to order and things like that. So that's one of the other jobs I need to get to this week, is actually to make a list of all the things I need to order before that show. So I'm quite excited about that. It's really good last year. Last year was the first year for quite a few years that I did it, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm back this year. So I hope that you will join me for that in April. Last week I released 2 videos. I did one which I showed you how I shortened my coarse brioche cowl. So that was the pink brioche cowl that I wore a lot when I was in Norway last month, and I had to fold it over. I've left it downstairs now, but I had to fold it over to wear it, and it was a little bit too long for me, and I just wasn't wearing it enough, and it was too warm when I was wearing it. So I shortened it, and since I did that, I have worn it nearly every day. There's been a couple of times when I've deliberately worn this one just so I could take some like selfies and stuff when I was out walking, because I wanted to show that one off with a pattern coming out soon, or today rather, on the day this video is released. But the other days I've worn the coarse pink brioche cowl. And then so I recorded a video on how I shortened it, and then I also recorded a video on Knitting Magazine issue 241 talking about my design for that issue, which is this sweater. Hang on, it's got a couple of the things piled on top of it. So that sweater, which was in the current issue of Knitting Magazine. So if you didn't watch that video, they are the 2 most recent videos on my channel. And then coming next week, there will be a video on my Manos Uruguay designs. 2 videos again next week. So there'll be one on Manos Uruguay, and there will be another one. Not 100% sure yet, but it may be either on yarn substitutions, or it might be on a design that's coming up in Let's Knit magazine. I haven't decided yet. Depends on when Let's Knit comes out. I think it's this week, but I'm not sure. So do keep an eye on the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, do subscribe so you don't miss any videos. And if you really want to make sure you don't miss anything, just hit the notification bell, and then you'll get notified when I upload a video. If you subscribe, then it'll show up in your YouTube feed, so you still won't miss it, but you may have to scroll down for it depending on how many people you subscribe to on YouTube. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to leave you with a clip from a day out last weekend at the 2 villages in Cornwall called Kingsand and Coulsand. They're right next to each other. They kind of run into each other really. And we went there, not this weekend just gone, but last weekend, for a Sunday walk. It was sunny, it was cold, it was lovely, and I recorded quite a lot of video footage, so I thought I would leave that to last. So if you don't want to watch it, you can click off now, but if you want to watch it, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.